The Fort Monroe Authority is ready to move forward with redevelopment plans.
The idea is to bring more businesses and residents to the 585-acre former military site. 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens shows us what it's going to take to make that happen.
What does the future hold for Fort Monroe?
So this is our backyard.
Whatever it is, Martin Getz plans to be around for it.
It's just such a fantastic place, all the history, for example.
Getz, stationed at Fort Monroe years ago, now volunteers here.
But I come out here and exercise along with these guys. We have some friends out here, the bench boys. We all enjoy socializing.
The Fort Monroe Authority is trying to breathe new life into Fort Monroe, attract more businesses, and get more people to move out here.
We've talked about it before, about this spot right here. They were kicking around being a local business wanted to turn it into like a taco stand kind of thing. And yeah, so we'd like to see some stuff out here that maybe some more places to eat.
Executive Director Glenn Oder says they need to remodel and redevelop many of the old buildings on the property. Oder says they're soliciting developers and investors who can come out and do the work they need.
In order to really bring these buildings back into a viable condition, it's going to take investment from private developers and private investment people.
Right now, they're raising money to make several improvements, which includes turning the old library into a visitor and education center. Oder says it's all part of their 5-year, $20 million capital plan. The plan is to finish construction by next August, which is the anniversary of when the first Africans came to the country.
The story's never been told, and this is such an important story.
Getz agrees. Fort Monroe is a must-see.
It's a fantastic spot. In fact, the locals try to sometimes keep it a little quiet because it's such a nice place.
And he's excited for the future. In Hampton, Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.